Hello and welcome, IGNU aspirants. In today's explainer, we're going to break down a topic that is, and I'm not kidding, absolutely critical for your exams: green accounting. So let's jump right in.
So are going to treat this session like the perfect model answer to this very common long-form exam question. By the time we're done, you're going to have a super clear, well-structured answer ready to go.
Here's how we're going to do it, broken down into 5 clear parts. First, we'll talk about the core problem with the usual way we measure things, the SNA. Then, we'll dive into the 2 big adjustments green accounting proposes, see how they create a whole new metric, and wrap it all up with a quick revision to make sure it all sticks.
All right, first things first. The absolute starting point for your answer has to be this fundamental problem. Our standard way of measuring national income, the system of national accounts, is basically blind to nature.
And you can see the problem right here. You see, the SNA is a pretty good accountant for stuff that gets bought and sold. You know, timber from a forest, minerals from a mine. But, and this is a huge but, it completely ignores the priceless services nature gives us for free, like clean air from that same forest. And it doesn't subtract the value of the natural resources we're using up.
Okay, so how do we fix this? Well, the first major adjustment you need to explain is how green accounting tries to value all those incredible services that nature provides us, even when they don't have an obvious price tag.
Now write this down because this is the key piece of jargon you absolutely have to use in your answer: non-marketed environmental goods and services. It's just a fancy way of talking about all those amazing benefits we get from the environment, like flood control or clean water, that aren't actually sold in a market.
This is a perfect way to think about it. Imagine a place like the incredible cinder buns. Now, the old school SNA would only count stuff like the timber or honey that's collected. But with this first adjustment, we're forced to add the immense unpriced value of everything else it does: controlling floods, sucking up carbon, purifying water. You get the idea.
Okay, on to the second critical adjustment. It's not just about adding the good stuff, we also have to subtract the cost of using nature up. We have to start treating the depletion of our natural resources as a real national cost.
And this is the killer point you need to make in your exam. There's this massive inconsistency, right? When a machine in a factory gets old and worn out, we subtract its depreciation from our national accounts. But when we empty out a coal mine or use up all our groundwater, the SNA just pretends that's not a cost at all. It's wild.
Let me give you a really simple example that you can use to explain this crazy logic. Let's say we chop down a forest to build a new highway. Well, all that construction spending actually makes our GDP go up. On paper, it looks like we're getting richer. But the permanent loss of that forest, a vital national asset, is never subtracted. We don't account for the fact that we've actually become poorer in natural wealth.
And it's not just forests, right? This applies directly to resources we can't get back. So, if a company in Jharkhand pulls out, say, 100 crore rupees worth of coal, our GDP goes up by that much. But the fact that our nation now has 100 crore less of coal in the ground, a form of wealth that's gone forever, is completely ignored by the conventional system.
All right, so we've got our 2 big adjustments: adding the value of nature's hidden services and subtracting the cost of using up our natural resources. Now let's put it all together. This is where you present the final solution in your answer. Look, I know exams can be stressful, so here is a super simple mnemonic to help you remember these 2 adjustments under pressure. Just remember 2 letters: VC. V for valuing the unseen services, and C for counting the cost of depletion. VC. Easy. And all of this leads us to probably the single most important concept for your entire answer: EDP, or Environmentally Adjusted Net Domestic Product. You can just think of it as the green version of our national income. Seriously? This table right here? You should literally draw this in your exam. It's a fantastic way to make your answers super clear and stand out. It just shows the difference perfectly. The normal NDP only subtracts the wear and tear on man-made stuff. But the EDP is way more accurate because it subtracts the cost of both man-made capital and our precious natural capital. Okay, we're in the home stretch now. Let's pull everything together onto one single slide. Think of this as your final cheat sheet to memorize before you walk into that exam hall. All right, one last time, let's lock this in. Start with the core problem of the SNA: it ignores the environment. Then remember your 2 adjustments: adding the value of non-marketed services and subtracting the cost of natural capital depletion. Don't forget the mnemonic, VC, and the key concept of EDP, along with its formula. If you can nail these points, you've got yourself a top-scoring answer. And there you have it. That is your blueprint for a perfect, comprehensive answer on green accounting. We'll leave you with this final thought because it really gets to the heart of why this matters so much, way beyond just passing an exam. Good luck.